Each different bubble of reality is true.
A galactic historian is a person that looks at all the lines of dramatic karma.
Nudge, nudge. It's the Holy Grail.
Improvise. Mysterious.
It's counter psychic intelligence.
Why is DNA farming of this star cluster so important?
Because we do manifest our reality. We do create our reality.
Welcome everyone to Living the Mystical Life Daily Webcast. Hello everyone. Today, Living the Mystical Life Daily Webcast. We've got some things to get to. Today we're going to talk about conscious application of the sacred art of living the mystical life daily. And we're going to do this by expanding on our individual processes. Living the mystical life daily is an out loud, name it to claim it system, without giving your power away. I know for a lot of you, this is not your first webcast. The first thing I want to say is, if you failed in the past, it's okay. We do these webcasts each week to encourage people to find their sacred discipline and understand not to put yourself at fault. We all have individual things within us that prevent us from having time, effort, energy. Sometimes they are our children, sometimes they are our job, and sometimes they are just things that are in our spirit that ask us to look in a different way, or are keeping us static and unchanging and not allowing the dynamic world in. There's a lot of information out there, and I know that this can be confusing for everyone. Many times that information overloads you and keeps you from really seeing the little moments of success that you can have. I know I've been guilty of it, giving away too much information. But that is the nature of the type of teacher I am. Large volumes. I am always challenging people at the scale and size at which they think. That is the very nature of the transcendence frequency that we're going through. And I am here to help you process and integrate it. If you've been concerned or had worries in the past that you just can't do this, without applying it on a daily basis, for whatever reason, every time you go to do it, your cyclical process is interrupted. You can't get into the frequency of happiness through prayer. This out loud name it to claim it system is about finding moments where you can put fears to rest and allow yourself to go to the new frequency. You just need the right person to explain it to you. And I know others have probably told you that you need to go to India or travel to the ends of the earth to find spiritual enlightenment and become your own self-illuminated master. I'm here to tell you that's their way, and it's not yours. And it is only your way that can be your own process, different than everyone else. That's what makes you an individual. And the journey of the individual is an alone inner journey. Many of us make that mistake on that journey where we want to share every aspect of this process with someone else, when in fact the inner journey of true healing the self is an alone one. It is where you are in communion and union with yourself, asking yourself the hard questions, telling yourself the fun stories, communicating in a form that you've never done before with aspects of your younger or future selves, making conscious application of the sacred to heal the self, your true focus and discipline of that slice of moment. Every part of us, every one of us has a part inside us that doesn't want to go forward. It wants static now. Many of you probably see friends and neighbors or family members who are stuck, static now, unable to heal from the wounds that they grew up with. Some having aggressive parents that forced them into being quirky at a future life. Others have parents that were never there, and they're ultimately a rebel inside, unable to make any choices for themselves because everything is in the moment, and when a bad choice is made, they don't acknowledge. There are so many archetypes out there. The critic, the caregiver, the confident. Think about that. All of these archetypes of people are out there. And we have these archetypes inside us. And they don't always benefit us, because succeeding would mean that they would be irrelevant as a program. And I want you to truly succeed at these new processes, meaning you must understand your own programs from your own point of view. The out loud, name it to claim it system that is living the mystical life daily is designed for you to stir up the programs in a orderly fashion so you can observe them in action as you begin to speak the words that are given to you as part of the process, so that you can speak them with power and have the confidence to record them in your own voice. And then once they've been recorded in your own voice, the next step is you are in a meditative, discerning state, listening to your own voice, read the own words. And you know you are successful when you pass on the essence of the words to the being in the meditative state, who has aha moments, who feels the warmth of the voice, who understands the connection there. That inner discerning process is vital and necessary at looking at our programs that do not want us to succeed. It is in that self-observation that you will understand the next level of personal success is self-discernment. The words of living the mystical life daily, they're about healing the heart, the dreaming frequency of the fetus in the mother's womb, reconnecting yourself to the very joy of prayer, finding terms like the peacemaker and the peacekeeper as an emanation teaching, keeping peace in all of your dimensions, time streams, galaxies, and universes, having the next level of personal engagement with your guides and guardians as part of the grand journey. Living the mystical life daily is a blueprint that will take you to the next level of self-discernment. So when you are ready to do spiritual journeying, spiritual observation of yourself or others, you have a discerning system that is based in your knowingness and your ability to respond to your knowingness. Many people want to jump into the great aspects of spirituality and have advanced high experiences, but they ultimately don't have the responsibility of spiritual hygiene at the advanced levels or the basic levels to be able to maintain that or to even get the slightest glimpse of those higher density intelligences. And that's why I'm here today. And I know many of you have a dream that you want to change the world and make this impact and have those great experiences and make an impact in the world. And I want to show you how you can make this happen during this webcast. My goal for this webcast is to help two types of people. For those of you who are beginners, you'll learn what it takes to have conscious application of the sacred art and what it really means to your daily life changes. Many of the beginners are challenged with how much is enough, how much is too much, and what is too little. That is where you're making your first mistake. There is no valuation of too much or too little. That is actually an inner judgment. When one is authentically present, with the fullness of voice and power and presence, warm hands, a loving heart, an open mind, and a protective feeling so that you can let down from the exterior, you are doing it at the beginner's level. And those are some of the hardest parts. No matter how advanced you are, without those fundamental grounding skills, you will have no mystical experiences that truly create the daily life changes. We access the mystical of every breath, of every moment, and every blink of every eye, and it's filling us to the tips of our fingers and toes with that energy at every moment. We must simply acknowledge it to the next level. Now, for those of you who are more experienced with my teachings, You will learn a more in-depth understanding of the ability to see the old shells, limitations, and perception-deception filters. Many of you heard me use that word before. Perception-deception filter. That means you have a perception about a person, place, or thing, ideology, or subject matter that has a personal self-deception filter in it. And I will use a more broad brush stroke here to understand. Racism is an example. We all know that it goes on in our world. And we can easily be driving by and seeing somebody pulled over and go on, and our perception-deception filters allow us to block out what is really there in the energy. Perception-deception filters in a more focused state, you could be in a scenario where someone is doing something aggressive on the other side and you don't want to report it to the police. That's a deception filter, stopping your moral code from stepping forward and making the right choices. At the more subtle level, perception-deception filters can be used against you, like in advertising or television shows or books that use myths to deceive you about truth so that your inner discerning powers can't come forward to sense the bullshit and the common blog that's saying the aliens are coming to rescue us tomorrow. They've been saying that for 100 years. I want to share a personal story with you. Not one when I was growing up, but one that happened about 5 years ago. I'm keeping some of the details out because it's still some personal processes there. I was asked to assist a person going through a transition of life to death. And this person was a very famous writer, simply put it that way. And for the longest time, they had a break in their faith. They lost a child at a young age, lost their loved one shortly after the child died, wrote dozens of books. And when she was reaching her deathbed, we had these extended conversations about life after death. And I had this moment in which I said to her, everything that you experience here is the dream. And when you wake up over there, you wake up from the dream. And I held her hand, and I went back to her previous lifetimes where she had faced something very similar of losing her family members, and it was a repeated life process. And I went back tens of thousands of years of lifetimes for her. It was my personal choice, so she became a very, very close friend at that time. And what I learned when I look back on this experience is that everyone wants to know what's happened in the past, and everyone wants to know what happens in the future. But I've been in the past, and I've been in the future, and they don't really care what's happening in the past or the future. They want to know what's happening now. Now is the point. The past isn't the point. The stories of the past are truly pointless because it's not about what you believe. It's not about what you think. It's about what you believe. And part of that story I just told you about the lady that was passing, it was her journey into the afterlife, her journey into the present life. When she did pass, there was this powerful energy that came through, and I could see the muse spirits that had assisted her in writing, and the many millions of beings that had read her books, honoring her as she became an ancestor. a teacher for all of us, wanting to go into a past frequency, to discover what it took in the past to get through the trials and tribulations of a world that wanted us dumbed down, not successful, not knowing what sacred art is, what conscious application of the sacred is, what reclaiming your sovereignty and free will is. And when I saw that celebration train welcoming her to the other side, all of those ancestors are there to help us too. And we can call on them at any moment if we choose to invest them into our journey. Make them a part of our life, our daily life, just as if you would text your friends or family each day. Call, email, postcard, selfie. We have so many ways to communicate to them. They are waiting to have sessions with us, celebrations of present life in which we commune with them. Living the mystical life daily is the outlet. Name it, claim it. Name it to commune with ancestors. All the external struggles that you have are internal struggles too. My internal struggles at the moment watching her pass was the loss of a great friend. I'd also been a part of a number of deaths, having been in hospice work, where I trained at understanding the afterlife, pre-life, post-life, taking all of my knowledge, abilities, skills, and concepts and begin my triathlon of training. Life, death, rebirth. Life, death, rebirth. We are in never-ending change. Sometimes we take vacations from change. And when we come back to change, we realize we never left anything behind, didn't lose a thing, but gained a whole new point of view. I want to help you all to find that new point of view, in which sacred discipline, conscious application of the sacred, the out loud name it to claim it system, using the concepts as the peacemaker and the peacekeeper, bringing ourselves to understanding that we are shapeless and formed simultaneously, equally layered over thousands of different experiential based worlds and different frequencies of time. And we can break down these experiences point by point, piece by piece, and reveal to ourselves our authentic inner circle truths, the ones that are the circular arguments that keep us locked in place, and the ones that are the linear arguments that never allow us to go beyond linear perceptions. We are omnidirectional, omni-frequency photonic beings of light who need no medium of any sort to propagate in. We become localized event consciousnesses for our spark of birth. And within that spark of birth, the DNA becomes sentient. That sentience grows into its technology of experience until the body becomes the instrument of experience. That instrument of experience is influenced by its mother and father, previous mother and father, 7 generations to the past, as well as 7 generations to the future. That is the fundamental of our awareness and responsibility to our awareness. Contemplate that. Your instrument, body of technology, the I am telling the soul to come on in, let's have some fun. The soul comes in as the memory recording process, and the I am is the experiencer, encoding into the spirit its light frequency of experience. Now, I know many of you may not want to become healers, teachers, speakers, psychics, or gurus, or many of you, some may. But the sacred discipline still applies to whatever you do, whether that's being a homemaker, college student, business leader, healer, or whatever it may be in your life journey. Traditionally, we'd have to isolate yourself in a cave or monastery to learn all this and apply it. In our modern world, it is hard to perform ancient practices and rituals, but those teachings still apply today. In this era, we must blend all the teachings as an a la carte system, whatever works in the moment. to be the spiritual guides in the moment, to let them the structure of previous stresses that says I cannot make a moment sacred because I don't have my second fucking there. Well, shaman get. So it is a one-fest ceremony then. Or you didn't do the saging. Well, ask yourself why. Why must this be this way only? We create our own expectations. Every day is an opportunity to choose to live the mystical life daily. The power of choice is great and grand, and it's your legacy to yourself and all of your future selves. It is your mantle of self-responsibility to use your awareness syncopated to your present. This blueprint makes it easier, simpler, and help change your perspective and give you a fresh point of view and perceive your reality. All right, so we're going to take our first caller.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. What's your name?
Oh, hi, my name is Nancy.
Hi, Nancy. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. Just in fact, I didn't expect to be called.
Well, our wheel of infinite callers, and you are the next contestant. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. So, you want a question, eh?
Yeah.
Let's see. What do I got? What does the question have to pertain to what you're talking about?
Well, we'd prefer about living the mystical life daily.
Okay, here's the question. Now, I've heard that we have lifetimes, many dimensions at one time. Is that right?
Absolutely. I teach simultaneous existence as part of our awareness.
I'm kind of bored with this one. So
oh, you shouldn't be bored with the one to be in. All the other ones are jealous being here.
I know. I know all the stuff that's happening. I know. But okay, let's just, for example, say, can we jump into another one?
Would you be violating that other being's timeline if you did?
Well, it's me. How could I violate me if that's what I want to do?
Sure. That's you with a different plan, a different fetus, a different mother, a different expression. So it'd be like you going into your time and saying, all right, I'll fix all my mistakes, and you never be you that went back in time, yourself a shard of yourself somewhere else.
But if there's no such thing as time simultaneous.
Right. You would make a version of yourself. You would just simply by looking at another expression, begin a new process. We must be very keen in understanding, studying on the journeys of others or ourselves. We can do great harm and damage to our linear and nonlinear selves. So what you want can be achieved. What you want can be achieved through perception and understanding. Instead of walking into another version of myself and stepping on my own sovereignty, not make another version of myself as metagain experiences. We start that with the dreaming body. That is where you should be putting your focus. That's how you'll have, let's just say, your dreaming frequency. Yeah. Begin to imprint it with the magical being as you.
Well, what's going on in my dream time is I just talking.
Talk
all night.
Yeah, talk all night. That's because being taught and people are teaching you and you're teaching other people. You're working on, let's just say, spiritual credit work in your talkie dreams. Yeah. So there are people that got the shaft and didn't get born into a family, the right family. And the talk for you is you are connecting to your actual soul family frequency and discovering many other soul families aren't in the right lineage and created, say, like the old school Hardings. Do you remember those?
Sure.
Oh, yeah. So, everyone answer the same line, and you're calling in to a line that can answer 30 or 40 people. So it's talk. Other people haven't been able to live with this lifetime.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting, yeah.
So this is where you want to put focus to that and say, hey, part of the mystical life daily process, do the out loud embodiment system as an active, powerful daily person so that my time begins to feel my influence that says, I want to communicate to you. I don't want to just talk. I want to meet someone. What's all this talking about?
Mm-hmm. But I'm fighting at times, too.
Yeah. Sometimes with ancestors. It's off.
Right.
That engage us in the negativity.
Oh, is that right?
Oh, yeah.
Engage us in negativity?
Yeah. Once you give them a space to flow, what does that mean? They have a space inside you. When you give them
tone it down a bit because I'm having some problems with the husband.
Yeah, there's plenty of things that you can do. It's a matter of what are you going to do for yourself first. Clearing the frequency of the home, going through the basic part of spiritual hygiene, such as cleaning the room's energies of each room, be it a prayer in each room, the use of sage, or some form of strategy, just as if you would have if you were vacuuming your home, to move energy through the house so there is not stagnation there. To give instructions to the doorways and the mirrors, not leave open portals so entities come in and out at will. You are not a bus station or a train station for entities. The place in which you sleep also is not a bus or a train station for entities. And then the next level is the four corners of your outside of your house and the four corners of your property, saying that you cannot have open portals so anybody can just vagrantly move on and off your property.
You know what? Thank you for reminding me of that. It's been a while since I took the stage and I did those things. So thank you so much. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
I really do.
You are welcome. So we got to move on to the next caller. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye now.
Okay. And the next caller on the wheel of callers. Rhea, you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Where are you calling from today?
So weird. New Jersey.
New Jersey.
I'm doing good. I really did not expect to get on the phone.
Well, here you are. You made it to the wheelers.
All right. So, I guess the only question that I have right now is like, a bit, have it pertain to myself is, like, I'm having I'm struggling with finding what my purpose is. I've been Reiki attuned. I've done so many different things. I've learned about light language, and it's just nothing's hitting home for me. So I don't know where to begin.
Well, the first part is doing something that is multidimensional. I get a lot of people that come to me that are right on the beginning steps to personal enlightenment. And we must remind ourselves in the beginning of the journey, the first experiences we have, we always think we have to out-top them. Well, it doesn't work that way.
Right.
Oftentimes, the experience becomes less and less and less because we can take less and less, because the first experience was so powerful in reality so much. So to do multidimensional actions as part of your everyday life. Now, Reiki has many aspects of multidimensional thinking in it, as well as many other healing techniques there. So one of the concepts in Reiki, one that I teach, is about telling your story forward or backwards in time, or sending things forward or backwards in time. And you have that opportunity to claim your schedule, where let's say you put a 4-hour time aside once per month to send treat forward in time to your very self. That you know every day you get here, your daily things that you know you do, and send 10, 20, 30-minute treatments forward in time to yourself than to be in your more stressful emotions. Maybe a client, or let's say you have a meeting with a partner, or something going to go on to a husband in the future. Regularly sending I am present state healing frequencies forward to yourself on a cyclical, repetitive, illuminated basis.
Okay.
That will broaden your field to feel yourself. The multidimensional being who can strategy at the next level and here.
Well, all right.
Okay.
Okay.
So have you been able to use the advanced heart meditation or any of the other ones that we have for living the mystical life daily?
I tried that one last week, and it got interrupted.
Yeah.
So I was trying to listen to it when I wasn't supposed to.
You got to carve that time aside.
Exactly. I have to set aside the time.
Right. It's only 40 minutes.
And do it repetitively.
Then you got to figure out how to carve 2 hours aside per week. Carve 2 hours a week out.
Yeah. That's a week. Yeah, sure.
A week.
Absolutely can.
Yeah. So everyone has individual opportunities to use perception to see different aspects of what's in our world. The limited point of view is to see this world, I have to put on clothing and shoes. That's a first limitation. Another limitation is I have to be taught what the world is. Mother and father taught me. I can't come out of the womb and just experience. Another perception. I've read tens of thousands of books that tell me how the world works. And when I get out there, it doesn't work like that. There are so many different expressions out there. Every aspect is a mystical experience when you choose it. And that is a perception too. That you can or cannot choose the mystical. Allow that to be in your moment for a minute. Am I worthy of a mystical experience? Is there a program inside that says no? Is there something in you that is a limitation from the mystical? Because if you go any further, you'll have to explain it to your family, your friends. Is this your reality? Do you truly believe in it? Do you truly believe in yourself? Do you? Do you know what you can actually do at this exact moment? Most people don't, because they don't challenge themselves moment to moment to moment. And what is a challenge? What do I believe in? Do I believe in myself? Do I believe in myself enough that I can put a smile on my face that is an authentic, real smile that heals myself? Sounds simple to some, but impossible to others. There are 3 secrets to becoming your own self-illuminated master. And those 3 secrets I've spoken about before. And I want to take it to the next level. That first secret is expectation creates limitations, and we don't realize we are doing it to ourselves, and we have the ability to control it and change it at any time. Belief systems are about as useless as balsa wood, unless you need to make a balsa wood airplane or something out of balsa wood. Our expectation, creating that limitation, can be on anything. Sometimes limitations is, in our perception, is I will never score 100 points in a game. Therefore, I will never allow myself to dream that much. Oh, somebody else is making the $100 million job on my idea. I won't dream anymore. Those are some of the more broad brush stroke expressions for you to take in, contemplate, and discern. How have you limited yourself from the unlimited point of view, the bigger point of view, the ability to score the 100 points or to make the impact in the world? Where in you did the dream fall away? Where did you stop believing in yourself and created expectations that were your noose, preventing dynamic change within yourself? You have the ability to control it. You have the ability to control it. Sometimes the expectation is control itself, which is what another swath of people suffer from. The need to control their change, micromanaging their change, and never actually experiencing the change. Because too much of their expectation is, it's too fast, it's too slow, I don't have enough time, I have too much time, whatever it is. I believe in this too much, I don't believe in that too much. I'm zealot about this and I hate it about this. I'm never fully realizing it is just an expectation that's created a limitation that prevents you from realizing you're doing it to yourself, that has limited you in such a way that you have no ability to control or change it, because you are always controlling changing it. And that is what the system you are lost in. The second secret is our perception. We live in a world of duality. No, we do not live in a world of duality. we are a singularity. But that is all perception. We are taught that we are an awake being, and that when we go to sleep, nothing is happening. Dreams are basically hallucinations. They don't mean much. Science doesn't acknowledge them other than as a passing quinkadink. In our world, there's no such things as quinkadinks, coincidences. They are synchronicities. And the world of singularity is full of synchronicities. The third secret, it's not about what you think. It's about what you believe. Whatever you believe in is true, and if you truly believe in it, it becomes your reality. Let's go more in depth to these for a second. Expectations create the limitations, and we don't realize we're doing it to ourselves. That expectation and limitation is going to be one of the fundamental challenges each and every person, no matter how advanced or how much of a beginner you are, you will be facing it all the way through your transcendence process until it no longer is a limitation or an action of the I am. There was a time in your life where you had no expectations and created limitations from them. When in your growing stage did expectation of the future be created? So it's a learned experience. And we can begin to unlearn expectation, or to learn a new way to use expectation that is truly precognition. Retasking our skill sets in the now through the out loud, name it to claim it, living the mystical life daily process that says I can believe in myself to be precognitive and have the responsibility to use it in such a way that I no longer will need an expectation process that I learn from an environmentally dense and dirty world. Early on in my life, I had to find myself letting go of expectations, letting go of the skill sets that I had come to know. And I want to talk about trying to get a job at one time. A job that wasn't in the construction business I was in, wasn't in the coffee shops or the restaurants that I had worked at. I wanted to get an office job. And I needed to be able to understand what the interviewer was going to want. I had all these expectations that if I put a suit and a tie on, if I do this and I do that, that I would be able to get the job. When in actuality, the person was interviewing me, not about the clothes that I wore. Those were aspects of it. But they wanted to know, could I manage people? Could I do this? Could I do that? What were my previous job experiences that still apply to their job? So when I got to the interview, I had all of these thoughts that I had and my expectations that I had created answers and strategies for. The very first question from the person was, what makes you think you're good for this job? And not thinking about the clothes or anything else or the expectations that I was going to be getting, I simply said, I know people. I can manage people. My previous jobs, I had to write schedules for 10 different coffee shops, 40 people per coffee shop. So I was scheduling 400 people per week. I had to regularly call them and communicate with them and be able to tell them, no, you didn't give me enough time to have a day off. And that question right there got me the job. Being able to say no to other people because they weren't able to do their job, because they didn't do things fast enough. And there I was, all this worry, all this. All that person wanted to know is, what can I actually do? All that expecting, all that worrying, all that time, effort, and energy that I put into it. Each person has a story that's like that, in some way, shape, or form. Now, living the mystical life daily has worked for helped many people. Some people in the professional sports industry, in the acting, singing, and movie industries. It doesn't just work for me, it works for all kinds of people. One of my students, he could not have a career as a healer. His name was Joe, and he just couldn't manifest anything in his life. And then he took the leap of faith and tried living the mystical life daily process. Similar to the caller that was in earlier today, she was right at the same place that Joe was. Now, 2 years later, Joe is able to do the healing process at the most advanced levels, higher than he could ever done before. His initial process is he couldn't schedule his own clients and create his own marketing. He didn't want to spend 2 hours to make his website look better. He didn't want to spend 5 hours working on a dropship system so that he could have a little bit of a product on his website. He didn't want to spend the time doing admin work because his mother had been doing all of his admin work before that. Right? That was her job, master admin, whether it was for the home life or the business that she ran. And when he had to go out on his own, he couldn't do that stuff. He didn't like marketing classes. He didn't like marketing himself. But he had to if he was going to be his own individual being, if he was going to be sovereign. He had to own his own marketing. He had to own his own website. He had to own his own business. He had to do all of the due diligence that comes with a person in this 3D matrix that has to follow through and make things work. Not like a airy-fairy light worker who thinks they can go light and get a job and it all works for them. Bullshit. Time, effort, energy always repays that process. When you go in as a butterfly, rainbow, stampeding unicorn, that's all you get. As a stampeding unicorn and all your grass crust and little unicorn turds everywhere that you got to clean up. That was Joe, always cleaning up his own little unicorn turds. Until finally he put them all into one big giant unicorn turd pile, and that became his compost. Once he had rainbow compost, he could use it to market himself. He could go into his own freak and say, all right, I've got to go take a marketing class. Or I've got to be able to try to write my own emails to my own list. Or maybe I need to go make a video that's professional and stop thinking I can do it on my own. All of those things he went through. And all of those things he had to claim power back from through the out loud name it to claim it system. Because he was truly nervous about those things. Those brought him greater stress than having to work on a client's. And for all you healers that are out there that are feeling the connection to that, you're more worried about the admin work than the actual client? There's something wrong there. You must be able to face your own self as a presented person if you are a healer. It's not about the way you look. It's about what people believe in you. And you must do the due diligence of the belief, not through their expectations, where they may have put you on a pedestal or knocked you off a pedestal. Do I have expectations right now? Ask yourself that question. Do you, the individual listener, right now have an expectation? Are you having expectations you are aware of and not aware of? For most of you, the answer is yes and no. If you can practice in 90 minutes a week, what will happen? Just asking about expectations has created an expectation. And then the next statement is, if I can. You have now just put yourself in a situation, if I can. If I can make enough time. If I can have a space to myself. If this, if that, shoulda, coulda, wouldas. Our own words create our own limitation. And we must be willing to break down our own words and know sometimes we argue for our limitations. Think about people who truly argue for their limitations. All right, I see I have a question from Susan. From the perspective of living the mystical life daily, can you comment on animals and pets? I have noticed, for example, that one of my cats has teeth problems. So have I. How can I be more responsible for my own energy and be able to distinguish? Is it their imbalance or something they're taking from me? I'm asking especially because last night, shockingly, one of my cats came in the cabin in the middle of the night in the wilderness with all of the symptoms of rabies. So 9 times out of 10, in fact 99% of the time, the pets are reflecting your own injuries, spiritual and physical injuries. So if you're having lots of teeth energy and the cats have lots of teeth energy, that means the cat has been taking that from you so that you can have somewhat of a normal life, and that cat came in to do that. Now you must ask, why am I not acknowledging that in myself? Or maybe you don't have enough money to take care of it. All of those things may be a part of that soup of creation. When an animal begins to reflect our damaged selves and personalities, we must go into a deeper aspect of ourselves and say, I must heal it for myself, so that this beautiful being that is doing its duty as a reflection may have its next level of reflection as we begin to reflect our great illuminated self. All right, here's a good one from Greg. How healed does a person have to be before they can become a healer? Now, I get this question quite a bit, and there are a variety of ways to answer it. I'm going to go, who shouldn't be a healer first? If you were abused as a child and are still post-traumatic stress triggered about anything in your subject, you are not ready to be a healer. If you are an abused child physically and sexually and have not gone through the process of removing that, healing from that, going into the body, you should be working on yourself before you become a healer. Now, there are people out there that are getting their knickers in a twist right now. I can do this. I do that. No one can tell me what I can or can't do. The question is, how healed does a person have to be before they become a healer? What I made as a statement is those shouldn't be healers yet, because those are the deepest wounds. Having those wounds and then coming means you're going to attract those wounds. People who suffer from it a different way. And when two wounds come together, it creates subtle portals that aren't actually healing the wounds. So how healed does a person have to be before they become a healer? They authentically know in inner wisdom that I have done work on myself and I will not stop doing the work. The great work is not about saving this planet. It's not about summoning the aliens and the multidimensional beings. It's not about Hollower and the global changes. It's about how deep you can go into yourself, be in self-healing, be in nurturing for those times that you need to, so that you can be the healer for others. When you master self-healing and self-nurturing, then you can become a healer. That's the most simplest answer for anyone to come to. What does it take to master self-healing and self-nurturing? What does it take for me to really know I'm burning a candle at both ends? How healed does a person have to be before they become a healer? And the answer is simple. Learn to heal yourselves. Nurture yourselves. New levels each month, each week, each year. Make that your envelope of exploration each month. What's my next level of personal healing? So you help others. Good question. So now that I've shown you that expectations create limitations, and we don't realize that we're doing it to ourselves and the ability to control it or change it, our perception is we live in a world of duality, but actually we don't. Thousands of experiences are out there. One of mine was, I was 7 years old and my grandfather died. And the night before his funeral, Mom, my grandmother, and myself all had dream visitations. Living, breathing grandfather, crying in the dream, thank you for coming back. I knew from then, my mom knew from them, and my grandma knew from them that we don't live in a world of duality. No matter what our ideology said, it was real. And so many of you have had real dream experiences. But over the years, they fade and go away, and we don't go back and count them as the great victories. And that's why we believe we live in a world of duality. Because we're told each day we wake up that this is the awake world, and each night we go to sleep, no one tells us to pay attention to our dream worlds. It is your own due diligence and responsibility to tell yourself before you sleep to be in the dream, to own the dream. So many of you at a young age or in ages have had dreams about flying. Okay? In Living the Mystical Life Daily, there is a meditation teaching that's about clearing out your dream world. Discovering that we were 5, 6, and 7 years old, that we had dream friends that we no longer talk to. And some of those have been hijacked, and some of those are simply waiting to be released, or they're empty spaces that need to be cleared. When we become pubescent, and we begin to have those visions about those in the opposite sex, or those of different sexes, we must find ourselves looking back at those. And there are meditation teachings that help us clear out the varieties of dream worlds that we've had, to reconnect ourselves to the original I am dream stream that is us. Many of you are thinking, well, I've never had a rich and adventurous dream world growing up. And I haven't had the experience that shows me it's non-duality. Yes, you have. You just don't recognize it. How many of you have been in the middle of a dream and somebody woke you up and you're like, I want to finish that dream. You put your head back down and you go back to sleep, you finish the dream. Many. Deja vu. Lucid dreams. Good or bad. Sometimes it is the most fearful dreams that remind us we live multidimensionally, multifunctionally. And we are challenged at that level. We must take the next level of personal presence, try to understand the concepts of non-duality. Everyone is experiencing it, but they just don't know it all the time. This is why we use the out loud, name it to claim it system. So now that I've shown you that our perception is we live in a world of duality, but we actually don't. It's not about what you think, it's about what you believe. Whatever you believe is true, and if you truly believe it, then it becomes your reality. All right, I want to take one more caller. Wheel of callers, how are we doing today? Wilma from San Antonio, Texas, are you there?
Yes, I am.
How are you doing today?
It's been a good day.
So what kind of questions do you want to ask today?
I was racking my head trying to think of the question, and I'm left kind of blank. You kind of answered a lot of them already.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just left with, then what am I missing? What am I not seeing about myself that is limiting myself? So far, I'm not getting good reflections perhaps around me, or I'm not being aware of that.
Sometimes we have clouded perceptions because everyone is projecting their expectations. So would you say there's a fair amount of people saying you are going the wrong direction in your life or doing things they don't approve?
Oh, yes.
So that is perception filter you would like to clear out. By using the out loud name it to claim it system is just say the first name of each other person that you have a projection at you. And I'll break all contracts, vows, and agreements with your projections from having any focus within my reality. I seal all the portals of projections. I am doing something that they don't agree with. Move the shame, blame, and guilt within myself and any other programs and processes that are taking that and transmuting my life force into us. In the moment thing where you got to understand, let's say there's a cousin or friend, neighbor, or a mother that really doesn't like the girlfriend you got. That's for projection until that girlfriend's gone, right?
Right.
Okay? How do you stop that without hurting or breaking the relationship with your mom? Energy. All through energy. You do it in the most positive way that sets to the energy frequency. I cannot have you in the field with this negative broadcast. I am not limiting all of your broadcast. I am surgically, selectively removing this from your projection stream. It has no connection point to me. Any other subject matter that fall to the projection value is to evaluate and change my experience that is not for my highest good, no longer be a part of my presence. For it is stealing my force and vitality and holding me back from true unlimited point of view. Whether the girl is right or wrong doesn't matter. It's my experience. Whatever the projection is, your experience.
Mhm.
Okay. So other things that challenge our perception deception filters is we have, let's just say, people who perceive us as less than we are. Right. You got to go from that one. Those
Yeah,
are stinging things always in fields.
yeah, outside. In fact, outside my door.
Okay. And what can you do to stop the presence coming beyond the door?
Mm, Well, I don't open the door for one.
No, you close the energy. That's one thing. Close the portal of the energy and the belief system that allows it says they have even a presence in the room. That's how we choose to let down when we are truly stressed out. It's innate in everyone to be able to put your bubble of reality up so thick nothing can penetrate when we close that door. It is our own awareness allowing it in. Here's an example. So, how hard was it to learn to drive?
Not very hard once I got on the wheel by myself.
Okay. No one taught you how to drive?
My dad attempted,
Okay.
and it was very useful.
Okay.
I took classes, but at that point, I knew how to drive.
Right.
It was enough video games.
There was enough belief in yourself to go through it.
Right. Yeah.
Okay? Yourself so much that you can turn off all the external projections so your authentic inner self can begin to be in your energy field, and you can begin to make a deeper relationship with it of how to use it in your process.
Feels like I've done that and then lost it. I get to a place where I'm there, and then something will knock me off guard, and I won't even see it until I'm looking at myself in the mirror, going, what happened here?
Mm-hmm. So there's a slippage in your field. Slippage meaning something is getting in, creating a pothole in your future in which you step right into blindly.
Well, I would say I have.
Yeah.
I've been far more aware.
We're more aware now. So now you can dodge the potholes like everyone else in the traffic to work. But guess what? There's always the pothole we forget about every day and we hit it. We've all had that experience. Have you ever had to really drive to work and there's the one pothole after the third stoplight that you tell every day you're going to dodge and miss it and you keep hitting it? Why does that happen? Well, that pothole was meant to be there. Not just for me, but for everyone else who keeps hitting it every morning.
Right.
So for you, it's about removing the potential for people to create potholes in your future, externals. Your own self-created potholes are your own self-created potholes, and that's fine. Stopping people from creating roadways, blockages, and potholes in your future. Create through the out loud, name it to claim it system a way to fortify your past, present, and future from alterations that are not fully in alignment with the divine source you.
Mm-hmm.
All right, brother, I must move on with the webcast. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
All right, so we've got a question in the chat room. So this one is from Marie. Hi, Andrew. Should we not have any expectations at all? I understand the concept that expectations create limitations, but how can I imagine living my life without any? Ha ha! When we are more evolved spiritually, I imagine that we would I could so complete in myself that I would not be disappointed or perceived shortcoming of somebody else because I didn't expect anything in particular in the first place. First thing first, expectation is not precognition. And when you get into the higher forms of the self, you don't have expectation, you have precognition. So matchstick versus flamethrower. That is the scale difference between what an expectation is. There are times an expectation has the flavor of precognition, but it's just actually predicting the solid future we regularly recreate over and over and over again from our habitual habit patterns. So expectation is the lowest forms of precognition, with about a 1.5% success rate, where true precognition at the higher level has a 100% success rate because your belief is always there and there's never a non-belief in yourself. So Marie, at this point in time, you still need some form of expectation, but you also know that it is a fundamental rule of this world. So when it comes to your spiritual processes, your 3D matrix processes, when you are breaking the systems down in yourself or others as a healer, is where you try to understand that the expectation will try to fill in the blanks that is not precognition. And you want to make sure precognition, medical terminology or medical holisticism, whatever it is that you're trying to do at that individuated moment to access the skill set, channeling a being, so on and so forth. There is where expectations can color the original story instead of it being full illuminated communication. Okay. All right, so here's one from Winston. I think you have said something to the effect of education system being tied up in concrete purposes. Would it be possible for a person of substantially higher vibration to operate from higher mind within that system, being totally absorbed in the subject matter from the perspective of direct insight in the subject, possibly inspiring more internally based values or based of energy? I'm sure the answer depends on the life individual considering the path. So, modify this in question here. Would it be possible for a person of substantially higher vibration to operate from higher mind? First thing, for a substantially higher vibration person does not operate from higher mind. They operate from knowingness. Within a system being fully absorbed in the subject matter. That's all negative. The system will absorb anything that's frequency and try to make it conform to it. Higher mind being, who's not a higher mind being, who is actually a being of knowingness, has already prepared subjects so that the system, when it looks, doesn't see it as a frequency of higher mind, but a being of knowingness, because the system responds differently to a being of knowingness. Further part of your question is direct insight integrated subject. Well, there are people that directly involved into that, but they are not fully immersed in that stuff. Now, you have some people that are in the transhumanism industry that are fully immersed in it, who are trying to just sail of a different life process. So each and every individual person who wants to know about said subject matter from immersed personalities is trying to get to the immersed connection. So for your question and your statement and answer here is, you are not in high mind. That is already done. You are a higher frequency being. You're a being of knowingness. And in knowingness, you know what you can and cannot do. And oftentimes when people want to throw themselves into a system and be the secret agent inside, you've already failed because you're playing within the system. You are still the walls of the system. And until you learn how to be inside walls, and suddenly I am walls of the system, there's no point in a higher frequency vibration there to absorb, adjust, change. You're already doing that as a living, breathing, photonic being of light. With your awareness, you must separate what is purpose, path, position, and place in space-time to separate the journeys of others and the journeys of why you are internally within the system. Okay, so here's one from Frida. If in an attempt to change career job and it's not going smoothly and the last job available, is it part of the 3 secrets you mentioned? The universe tells us to directly to something else. That's a really good one. Job and career are signature frequency teacher match. So sometimes there's that gets you by, and sometimes the job that's your purpose or career. Now, and then in many levels of in-betweenness. So in the secrets, when we apply our job or career concept, we have our own individual expectations about what the hell we wanted to do in life from youngest of age. You know, I remember I wanted to be an archaeologist at a little age, a geologist, and then I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to do all these things. Knowing what you're going to do now and not as a kid, or all of 10,000 times that influence you as a kid, X, or X. Those are allowing things to be in full notice. And then you begin to project to your presence the full of your knowingness. Fullness of the knowingness, a master vision of a career job can be created, set into the presence, not the future. And once it's set into the presence, and we stop our expectations from putting it into the future, we can emanate the signature frequency teaching of the right career and job. And the second we have full emanation, the system and world around us shuffles like a deck of cards, and a whole new set of synchronicities comes. So that part of the question was, is it the universe telling us to go to another time? Well, it all depends on how many times you shuffled the decks or changed decks of what's been going on. Oftentimes when you're at that point, is the universe telling us to choose something else? More of it is you are in the wrong place, the wrong space, or the wrong time. You may be doing the right thing 100 years early or 100 years late. But ultimately, time makes no difference. If it's truly making you happy, then why would there be such a limitation to be doing it? Yes, there are external sources that want to redirect us into something else. Or there is something in your perception that's not allowing that what you have learned, thought was your previous purpose, is but one of the great skill sets you have to take on an even more important purpose, where you'll need hundreds of different skill sets to the level of what your multidimensional self is saying. So the essence of the teaching is to be signature frequency teacher of the now of the self, to manifest through emanation of this creation now, and to stop your expectations to create a future for you. Okay. So here's one from Craig. Andrew, I'm currently not living a lifestyle conducive to growth. If you were to cherry pick something to work on me for, what would it be? Self-healing, dunk, dunk, dunk. So Craig, if you're at a point not living a conductive lifestyle, change. Okay, maybe you don't want to let go of friends. Well, guess what? Growing up, I let go of friend after friend after friend after friend after friend after friend, and friends I didn't want to let go of. Why? Some of them became drunks. Some of them became assholes. Some of them had 5 kids and couldn't go out more. Whatever the reasons, I also had to understand what was conducive for my growth. And those individuals who didn't want to be on a spiritual path, but are cool people, got to let them go. Because we are on the journey of the self. Sometimes the need to have a lifestyle with people in it is addiction. So where to cherry pick something for you is your addictions to people and discover what it truly takes to be at home alone for 12 hours by yourself without having your cell phone on, without talking to anyone, and truly see if you can be happy with yourself. So from Sarkis, Andrew, I know that their free will has been the greatest power ever granted to human beings, but higher self makes sure that this experience and goals are reached as well. The answer is yes. Will is one of the highest and greatest we have. The other part is the unlimited point of view. Free will is one thing, to follow the blueprint of the fetus, but when we have the unlimited point of view, we are a pathway to the stars and beyond. Ancient eras of light, before the wisdom and a structure of solar systems that got set up, when there was a Wild West aspect of the universe, a great open, vast, undiscovered tree of infinity. That's what we need to focus our free will on. So let's see if we got a question. How do you develop some discipline when meditating or practicing a healing modality? Experience. Everything is experience once you've to focus and to be disciplined. First part of focus is the two-dimensionally thinking. I am always focused when I'm in my healing modality. I am always focused when I'm with my client. I am always using my disciplined presence when I am meditating. I'm also always using my focus and discipline for my healing modality when I'm using the process and my conscious location of the sacred. That's the algorithm. Focus plus discipline when meditating or practicing is always present when the healing modality is being honored as a learning experience and not as a recreational experience. Separating recreational meditating from true spiritual meditating. It's discipline meditating. So light workers out there get a brand new meditation of and put it on and don't actually get sacred. Or that's the way they thought. When they were 13 and wanted to go into self-help, went on YouTube, got video after video, or just meditations, but don't talk to teach about the due diligence. It is your own habit patterns, and how well you are successful, and it's learning techniques of internalizing and processing that ultimately determine what level of mystical you'll begin to experience. Competitive life choices. Many people are stuck in what I'll dual competitive life choices. Contemplate that for a minute. Dual competitive life choices. I want to be a healer, but I have this job that serves the family. I want to go out to all the sacred sites and do ceremony all over the world, and I have these galactic communications, but I've got 4 kids who want everything done for them. I can go on and on. Dual competitive life choices is believing at the same time and struggling with both, dividing and conquering yourself. You cannot live in self-divided and self-cling. Take that to the level. Concepts are enough. You must believe, then act. We are not connected, not always connected to universal wisdom, but then we are. Faith is our direct link to the universal wisdom. Faith reminds us that we are more heard, better studied. Faith reminds us we have to only look, listen, and trust the love and wisdom of the universal spirit word to us all. Faith does not require a belief in a religion, or learning to trust the love and intelligence working through you in all creation. This non-trust will transform your perception and experience. You will find lessons and opportunities in every challenge. No matter what we feel or know, no matter what our potential gifts or talents are, only action brings them to life. Many of us understand concepts such as commitment, courage, and love, but we truly don't know what we can do. Doing leads to understanding. Action turns knowledge into wisdom. Action teaches us to overcome both inertia and impatience. By on our courage, clear intention, and commit. Every action and inaction contain the seeds of its opposition. There is a time for action and the act in action. Prayer is a process of finding strength, wisdom, knowingness, internal, eternal being you know you are. Many of you know that you've heard, read, or studied. Prayer is very similar. We know ourselves at our first layers. Prayer is the way to make higher frequency friendship with the universal source working through all of us. Prayer does not need a religion or an esoteric system. Prayer can be no words or thousands of words. Prayer is a form of gratitude and love expressed from the divine co-creative self, manifesting a life walk that has unknown and known factors. Prayer assists us at maintaining the unknown by showing us how to get rid of fear and any other process that limits our ability to live in our own self. Prayer is finding the integrity of heart-space truth, emanating unconditional love and expressions of vibratory words to convey the essence of the I am to all that is, was, will be. Prayer and faith is showing us that we do not live in a world of duality, that if we believe it, then prayer becomes reality. Over this webcast, I've shared that it's not about what you think, it's about what you believe. Whatever you believe is true, and if you truly believe it, then it becomes reality. That's conscious manifestation of our reality. So let me ask you a question. If you followed what I secret one, expectate limitations, and use that to create a life of your own dreams, meaning that your world is just as equal as your physical world, and then use secret 3 to continue your growth and change through the power of the placebo belief truth system, which starts with the out loud name it system that evolves ever evolving will to believe in and create in your own reality and our truths. She chose living the mystical life daily as her process because she had been confronted at a youngest age that spirit is everywhere her, that she is always working with spirit, and that her future, her job, needed to have spirit within it. So once she went into living the mystical life daily, went through the out loud name it to claim it system, discovered the little places she had given away all of her power, her purpose folded through. Whether you're a beginner or advanced, the strategy of conscious application of the sacred belief system will engage you at whatever level you are, equal to your level of awareness, which is your responsibility. No matter how many healing modalities or levels of religion that you've gotten to, this is a non-denominational expression of sacred conscious application of the sacred. So you may take yourself to the next level. You might be thinking as you have no time or private space. Here's why that's a mistake. That will hold you back. If you never allow the potential of the mystical, how can you create a mystical process that leapfrogs you forward into a newfound realms of experience, like the stories of the people that I've shared with you today in the previous webcasts? Each one took a step forward into the unknown. When I was first figuring this out, I ran into a big roadblock. I didn't know how to blend the teachings, conscious application of the mystical, to apply to this modern world. So I had to create Living the Mystical Life Daily for myself. So the real question is it worth taking a few minutes of your time to give yourself space and time to discover the joy of the process of the mystical experiences that come with self-transformation? This is your time. It is time to become your own self-illuminated master. It's time to no longer be afraid of what you're giving up, but to own your own divine power. It's time to go beyond the maturity of adulthood and be the child again, with the wisdom earned and learned with many lifetimes and experiences.
Each different bubble of reality is true.
A galactic historian is a person that looks at all the lines of dramatic karma.
Nudge, nudge. It's the Holy Grail. Improvise. Mysterious. It's counter psychic intelligence.
Why is DNA farming of this star cluster so important?
Because we do manifest our reality. We do create our reality.